Passives in complex clauses. Having been. Passive voice can appear not only in main clauses, but also inside subordinate and non-finite clauses, and this is very common in advanced written English. A subordinate clause is a helper sentence that cannot stand alone and requires a subject and a verb. Examples: because it rained, when she studies hard, if I were you, although it was late, which they had ordered, that was printing too slowly. Example of a subordinate clause: we postponed the meeting because the issue had not been resolved. Here, because the issue had not been resolved is a subordinate clause. It has a subject and verb, but it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence and depends on the main clause. A non-finite clause is like a quote-unquote helper phrase with a special verb form that doesn't show when the action happens or who does it. There is no tense. It uses verbs like to run, infinitive, running, -ing form, or run/broken, past form. These can't be full sentences on their own. They add details, who, what, how, to the main sentence, acting like nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. Examples: infinitive: to eat healthy helps you feel good. Here, to eat healthy explains what helps. Ing form: seeing the rain, she grabbed an umbrella. Seeing the rain describes the action. Past form: excited by the news, they celebrated. Excited by the news modifies they. Perfect participle: having been warned about the risks, they decided not to invest. Having been warned about the risks gives background reason, no tense or explicit subject. It just functions as background information explaining the reason for the main action. Keep the focus on the result or situation, not on who did it. Agent is unknown/irrelevant. Example: the issue having been resolved, the project moved forward. Equals result is important, who resolved it is not. The perfect participle clause having been resolved just means after/because it has been resolved. It does not force the main clause to be in the past. The clause can be in present tense too. For example, we can say, the issue having been resolved, the project can move forward now. You use sentences like these in formal contexts where you're narrating steps/results, and the important thing is the finished result, not the person who did the action. Context: last week there was a technical or budget problem that stopped the project. Now the team has fixed it and you want to explain why work can continue. Context: we faced a critical data quality problem in Phase 2. The issue having been resolved, the project moved forward to user testing in January. Here, readers care that the blockage is gone and work continues. They don't need names. Another example: having been completed ahead of schedule, the report was sent to the board. Having been completed ahead of schedule shows the prior result, the report is already finished, and explains why it was sent, while ignoring who completed it, because the focus is on the finished state and its consequence. Sending is in the past. The board already has the report. We can use a different tense in the clause. Having been completed ahead of schedule, the report will be sent to the board tomorrow. Sending is in the future. The report is finished now, but the action of sending will happen tomorrow. Context: the drafting phase finished 2 days earlier than planned, and the final checks have now been completed. Having been completed ahead of schedule, the report will be sent to the board tomorrow for their review at next week's meeting. Let's practice more sentences similar to these. The car was damaged from having been hit by a truck. Despite not having been invited, she attended the party anyway. Having been promoted last year, he now leads the team confidently. You may notice the third sentence uses both last year and having been. You might wonder, if we have a past time expression, doesn't having been mean present perfect? The answer is no. Having been is not present perfect. It is a perfect participle, a non-finite form, even though it looks similar. Sound compact and formal, very common in reports, academic writing, and journalism. Having been approved by the board, the new policy will be implemented next quarter. Instead of a longer sentence like, because the policy has been approved by the board, it will be implemented next quarter, everything is compressed into one clean line. This makes the sentence compact, few words, no repeated subject, formal, non-finite clause, passive, no personal tone, and therefore very typical of reports, academic articles, and news writing, where writers want to sound objective and efficient. Avoiding repetition and long because/when clauses. Having been invited to speak, she prepared a detailed presentation. Longer version. Because she had been invited to speak, she prepared a detailed presentation. By using having been invited to speak, we remove the repeated subject and compress the reason into a short fronted clause, so the sentence is more compact. Connotation. Formal, written, impersonal. The participle clause plus passive, having been invited, sounds more formal and written than because they invited her. It is also more impersonal. We don't mention who invited her. The focus is on the situation, she has an invitation, and the consequence, she prepared the presentation, which is typical of reports, articles, and formal emails. A quick reminder, a subordinate clause is a helper sentence that cannot stand alone. Because it rained, when she studies hard. A non-finite clause is like a helper phrase with a special verb form that doesn't show when the action happens or who does it. To eat healthy, seeing the rain, excited by the news, having been warned about the risks. Before diving into that first form, there's one more key grammar term to cover: finite clause. A finite clause is the opposite of a non-finite one. As we said earlier, a non-finite clause doesn't show tense. For example, to eat healthy. It does not show when the action happens. A finite clause does show tense. For example, he fixed the car. Examples of finite clauses. Finite. She runs every morning. Present, subject, she. Non-finite. Running every morning keeps her fit. Running lacks tense, modifies keeps. Finite. They were excited by the news. Non-finite. Excited by the news, they celebrated. Excited has no tense, describes they. The first passive form in subordinate and non-finite clauses is A. Finite passive in subordinate clauses. All normal be passive tenses can appear in subordinate clauses. Present simple passive. We will review all cases that are submitted this week. Past simple passive. The contract, which was signed yesterday, takes effect next month. Present perfect passive. They canceled the event because the venue has been closed. Past perfect passive. We postponed the meeting because the issue had not been resolved.
B. Passive infinitives in non-finite clauses. 1. To be plus past participle. Simple passive infinitive. She hopes to be promoted. Context. She's been leading 2 major projects this year, and her results have been excellent. She hopes to be promoted at the end of the quarter. Meaning, her wish/goal for the future is that someone, her manager/company, will promote her. We don't say who promotes her, so the passive keeps the focus on the result, getting a higher position. Typical verbs: want, hope, expect, plan, decide, claim, seem, appear, be believed / said / thought, etc. Another example. Candidates to be interviewed will be contacted by email. Context. A company writes this in a job advertisement or HR email after the application deadline, meaning these are the candidates who will be interviewed in the future. To be interviewed is a passive infinitive describing the candidate's future status / purpose, not who will interview them. Let's look at more examples for the passive infinitives and non-finite clauses. After verbs, hope, expect, plan, want, etc., he expects to be invited to the next meeting. She deserves to be recognized for her work. As post modifiers of nouns, employees to be transferred will receive relocation support. Documents to be submitted must be in PDF format. Informal instructions / announcements. Luggage to be checked should be left at the counter. Items to be recycled go in the blue bin. To have been plus past participle. Perfect passive infinitive. Example 1. He claims to have been misinformed. Contexts. Politics / news. A politician responds to criticism. The senator claims to have been misinformed about the policy details. Business dispute. In a meeting. The client claims to have been misinformed on the contract terms. Everyday argument. He claims to have been misinformed by his advisor before investing. Meaning. The passive action happens before the time of the main verb. Earlier time, already done. Example 2. The company is believed to have been founded in 1975. Contexts. Company history. In a bio. Apple is believed to have been founded in a garage, though details vary. Research report. The firm is believed to have been founded in 1975 amid economic shifts. Encyclopedia entry. Discussing origins without official docs. This retailer is believed to have been founded in 1975 by local entrepreneurs. Where would you hear this sentence? He claims to have been misinformed. Who says it? Journalists / news outlets. Reporters use it in articles to attribute unverified statements neutrally. For example, the politician claims to have been misinformed on policy details. Legal professionals. In court documents, appeals, or rulings, defendants or lawyers invoke it. For example, the accused claims to have been misinformed about drug quantities. Officials / administrators. Health plans, tribunals, or regulators reference it formally. For example, a member claims to have been misinformed about services. You will hear it primarily in written, formal English, like news articles, legal filings, insurance policies, or academic grammar examples, not casual speech. Where would you hear this sentence? The company is believed to have been founded in 1975. Mostly written formal English, tech history articles, company bios, or documentaries. Can we say, the company is believed to be founded in 1975? No, this is not grammatically correct or natural in this context. The original sentence uses a perfect infinitive passive, to have been founded, to show a past belief about a completed past action. The founding happened before the belief formed. Dropping have been to simple infinitive, to be founded, mismatches tenses. It implies a general or ongoing belief about a process still happening, not a specific historical event. C. Passive ing forms in non-finite clauses. Being plus past participle. Being invited to the conference, she felt honored. He left early, being annoyed by the constant noise. Meaning, action is simultaneous or background to the main action. Having been plus past participle. Having been warned about the storm, they decided to stay home. Having been selected for the program, she moved to London. Meaning, passive action is completed before the main action, perfect aspect. Let's compare these two sentences. Being invited to the conference, she felt honored. Having been invited to the conference, she felt honored. What's the difference? Being invited to the conference, she felt honored, suggests the invitation and the feeling are roughly at the same time in the story. As/when she was invited, she felt honored. Often interpreted as the invitation itself causes the feeling in that moment. Having been invited to the conference, she felt honored, shows the invitation happened before the feeling. First she got the invite, then later she felt honored. So having been invited is more formal and written, and it makes the sequence, invite first, feeling second, very clear.